It's the end of the world. Figure Skating Championships 2026 from Prague. When shaking your head, I don't think you can see. There it is.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is what you get when we wait until Sunday night at almost 9 p.m. for us to record a massive retrospective on the final event of the year. So we're going to try to keep the energy levels up. We just watched the gala a little while ago to get freshened up for it. The 2026 Figure Skating World Championships have just happened, as noted, and there was a lot of amazing things that happened here. We got redemption arcs, we got incredible skates, we got big surprises, and we got ice dance controversy.
Because what would a ice skating competition be without controversy?
Right. Why not just have one more big ice dance judging kerfuffle?
Just little sprinkles.
I mean, it would not have been the 2025-26 season if there wasn't something with that. So
correct.
Let's just get into it.
Welcome to Choreography, a podcast about the greatest sport on ice, figure skating. I'm Wendy Buskey.
And I'm Adrian Buskey. And I have a couple of things I want to talk about right before we get started going into all of this. I think we're going to get started with the women.
Because we have to.
We have to. But there's one thing I just want to kind of note. There's something I noticed. This is related to the show, but not necessarily related to figure skating in the same way. But
okay,
it's just that
unscripted, y'all.
Yeah, it's a thing that I've noticed in our world of weird AI crap and everything kind of going around. A thing that I have noticed in our episodes that come out on Apple Podcasts. They rolled out a new feature not too long ago where we could put in timestamps in the same way that we do on YouTube. And a lot of you comment about how you really appreciate that we put timestamps and chapters and make it easy to jump around or find the things that you're looking for. And I'm also, as a YouTube fan, I'm like a user, I really like having those as well. And recently Apple Podcasts allowed us to put those in too, which is great, except for it ignores them. And then it just inserts its own chapter breaks and retitles them however it feels like. And so I had happened to open up our men's preview episode, and it completely ignored most of the timestamps that I had, and then just renamed one big block Ilya Malinen's Journey. I did not write that.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't in the timestamps or the chapters, and maybe we said that phrase during the episode, and their AI just picked up on it. But just so, I just wanted to note it because I'm like, we do a lot of intentional stuff putting these shows out, and when you've got systems that are just actively renaming or assigning whatever it wants to, I get that there's this perceived benefit to the audience who's using it in that platform. And I'm a Apple Podcast user. Like a lot of you guys also listen via Spotify. I used to use that platform. I don't these days. So I don't know if it's doing the same thing there, but it's definitely something that's happening on Apple Podcasts that I found that really, really irritating. So anyway, if you're listening on one of those platforms and you're seeing some of those random titles that are happening in these random chapters, and if they seem goofy, that's because it's not our doing. That's something that their system is doing automatically. And it just feels like it's another bit of that slopification of the internet world. But that's enough about that stuff. Let's talk about women's figure skating at the World Championships.
Oh, let's talk about Kaori Sakamoto, because she is the story. She is everything. As well as I'm sure most everyone who would be listening to this podcast, shed many tears, especially at the end of her free skate, which was her personal best, glorious, and the absolute perfect way to end her career.
I don't even know what to add to it that
I know
Kaori doesn't say on the ice. Essentially, you know, we got two fantastic skates from her, and then also a beautiful gala performance as well.
That was just so free.
Yes.
Like you could feel the lightness in her in that gala where it's all done and I can just be. And oh gosh, she's so lovely. She's so warm. I love forever Mark Henretti, the commentator for the ISU, who was gushing is putting it very mildly in terms of his commentary for her throughout this.
He was the audience's surrogate.
He was.
For our emotional
everything I was thinking, Mark was saying. So even down to like, please don't leave.
Yes.
It was exactly how I felt.
The thing that we've kept saying over the last year, but really the last handful of episodes from the Olympics on, is that Kaori Sakamoto over the last 4 years has reshaped figure skating in her image. And I say that in the most positive, thankful way possible, because her leadership, her example that she has set for other skaters for how to be supportive and funny and driven and a great competitor, but somebody who does not take herself seriously, even though she takes the role that she has seriously, and that her skating, and it's just so gratifying to see somebody like her, obviously, not achieve that Olympic gold like she wanted to, but to finish out her career with a world championship, to be in that extraordinarily elite group of people.
4 world titles.
4 world titles. And with just the absolute skates you would want to end off with, which were essentially flawless, huge scores, incredibly well put together.
And an audience that could not have been more respectful, excited, just shedding so much love on her. And I'm so grateful to them for making that as special as it was.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to Prague.
Yes.
To the audiences there, to the organizers, to that beautiful venue.
Oh, it was amazing.
Wow. I mean, we've been gushing for years now about the Europeans that were in Lithuania, and then like Worlds in Boston last year, which were exceptional. And just seeing venues fill back up for figure skating.
Oh my gosh.
To see this event in Prague which also, I mean, it's no surprise to anybody who pays attention to culture and architecture or movies, since a lot of things have gotten filmed there in the Czech Republic over the years. But like, Prague is gorgeous. I mean,
absolutely stunning.
An unbelievable looking city. And to see full house audiences sold out for a lot of these competitions. For the gala was full. For
practice sessions.
Yes.
There were thousands of people in the lower bowl especially. It's like, that's incredible. Like, just the fact that skating drew in that much excitement and enthusiasm just gives me all of the warm fuzzies.
Yeah, great supportive crowd, very invested and
knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Like, they knew what they were watching.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that type of audience was there for the final competitive performances of Kaori Sakamoto, and I'm so jealous of that audience that they were in the room for those, because they were astonishing. But yeah, she finishes off her career with a combined total 238.28 score. Absolutely exceptional. To say that Kaori is one of the greats of the sport, we've known that.
It's obvious, yeah.
We've known that for a while. But her finishing this off, she is this generation's Michelle Kwan. She is the person that kids coming up now are going to say it's going to be like her and Alyssa Liu and people like that. But it's, Kaori is going to stand out as being like the example of what defines figure skating in this era.
Yeah. She leaves incredible, big shoes to fill that I really, really appreciate the silver medalist Mone Chiba from Japan making a point of saying that she wants to try to live up to that in some capacity. And I'm sure part of that is I want to be like Kaori, because of course you do. Why wouldn't you? But I really think it was more being the competitor, the sportsman, essentially the diplomat in the sport. I think she saw how much Kaori meant to the sport, and she wants to try to at least fill some part of that and continue that tradition, because Kaori really did make such an impact on women's figure skating, and I'm sure even exponentially more so in Japan specifically. So I love Mone for saying that, for feeling that, and also for performing incredibly well herself here.
Fantastic.
She, I know, was also to a certain degree looking for a bit of redemption. Not that she wasn't fabulous at the Olympics, she really was, but had a few small errors that kept her off the podium. Here, she was divine. And I mean, her free skate score of 150.02, massive for her. So she's looking great going into next season.
I mean, for me, what really sticks out for Mone at this event was her short program. She was the last performer in the women's event.
Yes,
and
I forgot
following
about that.
a huge performance from Kaori is not an easy feat. And Mone was spectacular. I think what's kind of great about it is that her short program has like that big high energy, and it was a great way to finish that short program.
Totally.
Because it allowed, I think, the audience to kind of go out on a big high and a massive score that she was super happy with. And it's just, you know, when we looked at those scores, she was less than a point behind Kaori in the short program.
Yeah,
with a
close.
78.45 for a skater that does not have Ultra Cs. That's just enormous.
Yeah.
Really spectacular stuff. And the Japanese women are going to be looking for this kind of new leadership with Kaori stepping into coaching. So she's still going to be around, but you know, Mone is kind of the obvious choice to step into that role. And she's a very different kind of personality. I've always been entertained by how much it's noted that she's very witty and very wry off the ice. And you get to see this very elegant performer, and then off the ice, like she's quippy and very funny. But I think that she did a marvelous job here, and she's 10 points behind Kaori, which sounds like a lot, but in reality is kind of fantastic considering the numbers that they put up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, her total score was a 228.47. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely unreal.
But if you want to talk unreal, it's the surprise bronze medal for what no one saw coming, especially her.
Yes.
Nina Pinzerone from Belgium. I mean, wow. This is so cool. I love this. I love a good surprise.
I do too. I really enjoy a podium that has at least one person on it that you just didn't see coming.
Yeah.
And we get a couple of those at this. In our preview episode, we definitely didn't predict
there was no prediction
Nina for
of
this.
Nina.
we had her as kind of a footnote. We talked about her.
For
but
sure.
Over the course of the season, Nina was injured for a lot of it. And when we saw her at, I think it was Golden Spin.
Yeah, I think it was a Golden Spin of Zagreb was the first time she came back from injury, and she looked rough.
She looked really rough. All of that beautiful refinement that she has just wasn't on display there. She just looked extremely rusty, and it really kind of had us worry about what the rest of the season was going to look like. And she definitely rallied. She looked better at the Olympics.
So good, yeah.
But still, like, kind of, you know, getting back to what she was doing, say, a year or so ago. We had the pleasure of seeing Nina in person at Skate America 2 years ago, and she was incredible to watch live. In particular, her gala program at that event was spectacular, but we had just had almost no expectations for her at this event because we just didn't know what she was going to be able to bring to the table. And what's amazing to me is that she came in here in the short program and got 5th, which was in and of itself was already an incredible performance for her. And in her interviews afterwards, she was like, well, it's highly unlikely that I'll hold on to 5th, but I'm really excited for what I've achieved here, you know?
Yeah, it was I'm probably, like, if I could stay in the top 10, I'm doing great. And then she's a medalist.
Yes. And of course, some of that, it's a combination of people who are ahead of her not doing as well.
Sure.
But also her laying down a gorgeous free skate. Just both of her programs back to back were lovely. And it was much more that skater from a year or so ago where we did expect Nina Pinzerone to be on podiums, but I'm thrilled because I love Nina skating. I'm often blown away by her, and she has a look and a style that is unique to her, and her partnership with Benoit, giving her just a very storyteller-centric kind of choreography that doesn't feel like anybody else's. Seeing her on this podium is, I mean, again, a gigantic surprise, but not an unwelcome one.
Yeah, I mean, Nina was thrilling. And I loved her coming out for her medal and just shrugging to the audience like, I don't know how this happened, but that only made me love that she was there more. So, and what an honor to be on this last podium with Kaori Sakamoto. And I feel like she knew it very well, that was an incredible moment to get to be a part of.
That's one of those things that maybe doesn't get talked about a lot in like the commentary and the broadcast and stuff about stuff like this, but to share a podium with somebody who will like now go into like legendary status. You were on the last podium with Kaori Sakamoto where she had her best performances. You took bronze to her. That's like an additional level of honor to me. I just think that like that's so very cool. And I mean, Nina got a 215.2 total, which is just astronomical for her.
Yeah.
And that sense of her coming out and having that, like, this is as unreal for me as it is for you. Like, there's just something so incredibly endearing about that.
It was.
Like, just seeing that
very
honest, like, response to it. And I'm just thrilled for her because these are the kinds of things that change the conversation around a skater. When they go into the next season as a world medalist, suddenly you aren't just a competitor. It's like Nina Petrokina winning 2 European championships. It changes how people talk about you. It changes the conversation at home and abroad. And I feel like that just happened for Nina. And I'm very, very thrilled about that.
It's so cool. In fourth, with 2 really strong performances overall, with just a few errors that kind of held her back, Isabella Vito. And I thought, for one thing, fourth at Worlds for her is great after the Olympics, where I feel like her free skate kind of let her down a little bit. And to be fair, her free skate let her down just a little bit here too, but I think it was certainly a lot better than it was at the Olympic Games. But I loved Isabeau at this World Championships because, for one, she brought in a brand new combination. Mm-hmm. She was doing a triple lutz, triple loop. Since the Olympics, she increased the difficulty in her performances and specifically was calling out that she feels like, I'm paraphrasing here, but that she didn't have essentially the fire under her in the same way. She wasn't pushing.
She wasn't challenging herself.
Yeah, that's the right way to put it. And now she is. And I feel like there is some new, just in the past month since Milan, like something new is happening with Isabeau, and you could see it here, like a little preview. So I am really, really excited to see what she's bringing next season because I feel like she suddenly has a new bit of fire and hunger in her. And it's really cool to see.
I think the narrative with Isabeau is that within the American Federation that she came into seniors and was like the new ice princess, right? Like she was, especially with the initial retirement of Alyssa Liu, she was suddenly kind of where the Federation and the media was really kind of focusing on. And for a couple of seasons, she was absolutely terrific, but you didn't see a lot of evolution or growth over that time period. She was just consistently great. Yes, she is one of the most elegant skaters in the sport.
For sure.
She has beautiful artistry and huge charisma, but you were kind of seeing the same programs kind of over and over again, the same layouts, and you were seeing the same problems in some of her jump technique as well. And then Alyssa Liu comes back and Amber Glenn just comes into her own finally. And Isabeau kind of became a little bit of the afterthought to a degree. Like she became
was the third woman.
The third woman rather than the first. And some injury taking her out of a chunk of the previous season did it as well. But yeah, I think going into the Olympics and then kind of just being, again, the third woman there and not being as competitive. I mean, I think that that's given her that taste of, I need to up my ante. I need to be more than what I've been doing. And her adding that new combo, I think it gives me a lot more confidence in what we're going to see from her going forward. And in general, too, I'm just going to be very curious to see post-Olympics, post this hype cycle, post like the creation of like the Blade Angels and all this talk and whatever, and no American women on this podium here. If we're going to see Isabeau have a next stage transformation, it's like talking about like, oh, she's a Pokemon, like she has like another form to go to or something. But
she's 18. She does. Like,
right. Exactly.
It's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. Like what's this next version of Isabeau going to be? And that's what I'm really, really interested to see post this Worlds.
I think she's only going to get better, and I'm thrilled to see it because she's already so good.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this next quad for Isabeau.
Yeah. Let's throw out some appreciation for the 5th place finish of Italy's Laura Naki-Gutman.
I've always got appreciation for Laura Naki-Gutman.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a fantastic showing for her.
It's great.
5th at Worlds, right after the Olympics. She is coming into this with an Olympic bronze as part of the Italy team. And she put together a couple couple of really great skates. She lands with a 205.12. She's just a little bit behind Isabeau. There's a couple of rough spots in these programs. I think a lot of the women looked a little bit more fatigued than I was expecting going to this World.
Agreed.
I just wonder if a lot of that post-Olympic hangover was affecting them. It's very different from them and the men. I feel like the men came in kind of supercharged and the women came in looking just a little...
I kind of feel like they flip-flopped a little bit.
Yeah. But I always enjoy Laura Naki-Gutman. I love those programs. I mean, the Jaws program has been so entertaining through the entire season, but as it's gone on, I've actually kind of turned my preference towards the short program.
I love that short program.
I love the music. I love the choreo. I love when it hits like the choreo sequence in it and the music changes and she has her kind of little like, I don't know how to do the dance move, especially on camera in here, but I love everything about it. So I've really appreciated a skater like her who was not super well known a couple of years ago and had been kind of languishing in the back of the packs for a long time, really having that renaissance, in her early 20s. And I really hope we get to see another whole quad out of her because I don't know. I just really, really enjoy her skating.
I don't have any indication that that's not going to be the case. So I really hope so. In sixth was the U.S.'s Amber Glenn. And obviously that was a bummer. She could have won the whole thing. Mm-hmm. She could have absolutely been on this podium. She was third after a great short. Yeah. But even in her short, she got it done much better than she did at the Olympics. However, it was a little bit tight and her score was a little bit lower. I think she had like a 72. So she wasn't actually that much higher than Isabeau in the short program. But I'm so happy she got a small medal. That to me is like such a comfort, and I hope it is a joyous thing for her. I think it probably is, I would assume. But just to see her get at least some kind of reward for how great she is.
Yeah, it is something and not nothing.
Thanks, Ilya.
Yeah.
But that free skate just got away from her. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I appreciate how candid and open Amber is. Whenever she was asked afterwards how she felt, she's like, it sucks. I lost focus and this happened. And she's exhausted. Like you said, all of these women, to a certain degree, other than the top three, really, all had that look and feel of this is a really long season. They have been through a lot. I think Amber actually said she had gotten bronchitis between the Olympics and Worlds.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to deal with.
There's quite a number of skaters who had new injuries just since the Olympics or had been dealing with other illnesses and stuff. Yeah. So
but she also didn't make any excuses to put a point on that. She was just like, I lost focus here and it was a bummer. But at the same time, sixth is not a bad place to be. It just obviously was not what she wanted. And I mean, all of us want a world medal for Amber. It's just like, it's our heart. Like she is so.
You're probably speaking for like in a royal we for
any Glenn head who's listening. We all want this. Yes.
Yes. But and I think everybody would have, I think largely most people would have been really excited for her to have been on this podium. It is interesting that she came off the ice, obviously a little shell-shocked after her free skate. Yeah. And then the next day did a signing at I think Jackson Blades, like at their in the venue, like there's always the concourse has like, representatives from, various like figure skating outfit companies and booths and whatever. And so she did a signing there and they had to like shut down part of the concourse because it was so popular. There was so many people coming to meet her and getting her signature. And then seeing her in the gala and how amazing she is in the gala performance and just like how the crowd responds to her, a sixth place finish here does nothing to diminish the just extraordinary caliber of her skating and stuff.
Absolutely not. Yeah. It just makes me really, really hope this is not the last time we see her compete.
Yeah.
She did not say.
Ain't nobody saying nothing.
Nobody is saying anything.
Outside of Kaori, everybody else is like, we're going to take a vacation and sometime around June, we'll let you know what we're thinking for next year. Which is probably healthy. But yeah, it does lead. There was a lot of feelings from a lot of people at this event that it was like, this could be the end. We don't know.
And I didn't get that impression from her. But also, I always go back to Nathan Chen, who is still not retired.
Yes.
So it's who knows what we're going to see.
Yeah, not everybody does an official announcement yet.
Yes.
Because we have so much to cover, because we're doing all of Worlds in this one episode, I think we're going to have to kind of take the rest of the women by beats really quickly.
All right.
In 7th, we have Estonia's Nina Petrikina. Another really great performance from her here. We got to see that Dune program one more time, which is terrific. Nina was very, very solid.
Can I just put in one thing for Nina before because I know we're moving fast. Please keep your short program. I want to see this another season because that short program we didn't get enough of.
We did not get enough of it.
And it is spectacular.
Yeah, and it was getting better and better over the course of the season.
I love it so much.
And we really missed a big chunk of her over the course of the middle of the season. I don't think she was on the Grand Prix at all, and the 2-time reigning European champion and, Estonian it girl. So the real missed opportunity is that we didn't get her at the gala.
I know.
So we didn't get that Chicago program at the gala, which was frustrating.
Jia Shin came in 8th. She had a bit of a rough short program, but she was 4th in the free skate and was sublime.
Yes. Korea's Jia Shin came back hard in that free.
Oh, yeah.
What we saw here was kind of more of the place that most people have been expecting through the season, which is Jia to be kind of the standout Korean skater. But most of the season, Hae-In Lee has been beating her, that sort of competition within the competition, and not putting them against each other like rivals. No. They seem to be friends. We see them together all the time. But Jia just has been sort of like fundamentally not as impressive in seniors yet as she was in juniors. And I think that free skate here is where we saw that promise, like that thing we've been looking for her this whole time, where she brought herself up from 13th to 8th. That was very impressive and very exciting.
And well-timed, considering we're going into the next quad.
Yes. A bit unfortunate was to see a 9th place finish from the kind of rookie of the year this season, Japan's Ami Nakai, who, if you're watching this, you've probably seen her over the course of this season, win a Grand Prix medal at the Grand Prix final, medal at the Olympics. I mean, she is your reigning bronze medalist from the Olympics and very notable for having one of those most beautiful sporting moments with her and Alyssa Liu at the end of the women's competition. And here's a skater who has been all brightness and feels like never has any pressure on her. And this is the first time where she looked kind of fatigued and looked like she was carrying that sense of pressure on her shoulders.
I agree. Her timing was a little off on her axles, especially, which are usually her kind of extra little advantage since she has a triple axle. But also you could just see the tightness in general in her skates. So I am also thinking it has to be a certain level of exhaustion, considering how long the season has been for her.
Also, the media attention that's been on her in Japan, because, winning a medal definitely pushed her into the forefront of conversations there.
Oh, yeah. Her profile is way higher now. So that's going to change some stuff. So nothing about this concerned me. It's understandable that in your first season, at some point, you're not going to have a great competition.
Yeah.
Because everything up to this has been pretty great.
Yes.
Different levels of great, but great.
I mean, she peaked at the Olympics. She peaked at her first Grand Prix. I mean, she's never been quite as good as she was at Grand Prix de France, but she has still been spectacular through the whole season. So it's not that big of a deal for her to not get a medal here, considering she's got an Olympic medal. So she's doing
just fine.
I think the big thing for her is just not to get hit with the sophomore slump next season.
It's way too early to call that.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to be fantastic next season.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
And that rounds out, the top 9 all broke 200, which is super great. When we get to 10th, we see Georgia's Anastasia Gubanova, who did make a drop from 6th in the short to 10th in the free. I've enjoyed these programs all season. I like the Ghost program a lot. It didn't work quite as well here as it had before. She did seem to kind of disconnect a little bit, which is the thing that Anastasia's always had happen in previous programs, and the Ghost program seemed to hold her the entire time because she obviously loves it so much. Didn't work quite as well here. Didn't get to see her in the gala, but she's still finishing top 10 at Worlds, and that is definitely still quite an accomplishment.
Yes, an accomplishment also for Sarah Everhart from the U.S. In her first World Championships, she placed 11th, and really, I thought she looked great overall. It wasn't perfect. She still has a long way to go in terms of like her presentation overall, and that second mark is going to take time. But for coming in as a substitute, I don't know if I would call it a surprise. She probably was fairly aware that it was a good chance that she'd be coming to Worlds. That said, I'm so impressed with her. to handle it as well as she did, it speaks volumes to her.
Well, and she brought back the Firebird free skate,
which was smart.
I think that was a really good plan because that showcases her better. And she was all attack.
Yeah.
For coming in here as the sub, I think she skated like somebody with nothing to lose.
Because she had nothing to lose.
And it looked really good on her. But, you know, notably, much like the Japanese women, the American women have locked 3 spots through their performances here, which is really good for them going into next season. Very important. So, yeah, I think Sarah's performances here really tell the tale of what we've talked about with her all the time, which is that she's a terrific up-and-coming skater who just this past season just wasn't as consistent and was dealing with having the Blade Angels as being the face of the American program. But I'm so excited she got this opportunity. And then just 3 quick shout outs. Sofia Samotokina from Kazakhstan did some very nice programs here, but
her free skate though was pretty rough.
Yeah, there were definitely some problems there, kind of uncharacteristically. Normally she's so solid, but she's always a delight to watch. In 13th, we had Haeun Lee from South Korea. She had been 10th after the short program, had a really rough free skate. She's been doing so well this whole season. It was definitely a surprise to see it kind of come apart there. She just I think she popped 2 or 3 jumps in that free. It just looked like tiredness and lack of focus or something. It's just, it's unfortunate, but hopefully, we see her going into this next season and she can improve upon that. And then just a shout out to Finland's Ida Karhunen. It's in 14th. Again, not great skates. The free skate, unfortunately, was...
I think they were good. I wouldn't call them not.
Well, I liked her short program was really good, but I think that her free and kind of so many of the women after her here suffered from a lot more rough skates and inconsistencies and
fair.
And as good as we've seen Ida be, that free skate just had a lot more rough edges as you could see her fighting to not gas out. But she's such a promising skater. I really enjoy her stylistically. She's an interesting skater. She's so much fun.
She is on the ones to watch list for sure. And I'm so excited to see her next year at the World Championships in Finland. So she'll be on home ice. And she's made some pretty bold statements about the things she wants to do there. So I love it. She's got a lot of fire in her. And I'm excited to see where she goes.
Yeah. Just to wrap up the women's, I just think that while it was maybe not quite the glowing event that it was at the Olympics because it wasn't as consistent as far as overall performances, that podium is incredible. And the takeaway is always going to be this final set of performances from Kaori Sakamoto. And more,
perfect.
What more could we want from it?
Nothing. It was perfection. Well, let's move on to the pairs because I think that, for one, our predictions were wrong, and I'm happy about it.
Sure. I mean, I think we both predicted the Georgians, Metlakina and Baralava, would be in the top spot. And I would not have been mad if they were in the top spot because
they're incredible.
They've been exceptional this whole season and the last couple of seasons. But it is really nice to see Germany's Minerva Fabian Hassa and Nikita Volodin, affectionately known as Maniki to their fans, finally achieve that world gold medal.
I know. So good.
The course of 4 years, they've kept coming really close, but peaking too early. We've seen over and over that they have been fantastic on the Grand Prix circuit and then tend to fizzle out a little bit right at the end of the season. And there's been a lot of them just falling just a bit short at some of these events. And that is not what we saw here. Instead, we saw 2 really terrific programs.
They were so good. So good. They led after the short program with their phenomenal tango, but it was almost tied. There was only about 0.3 of a point between them and Anastasia Metlakina and Luka Baralava. However, their free skate, I don't want to call it perfect, but it was really close. It was as good as they have done it, and it came at the exact right moment. And I will admit, because last season they were so good overall, and then they came in second at the World Championships last year because of their last lift and how it, right in the last seconds of the program, they came down too soon and it just ruined it.
Yeah, it just fell apart.
So I can't help but, watch the last 30 seconds of this program
trepidation,
with so much nervousness. I'm like, this was perfect. You've got it. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. No, it showcased all of the great skating skills, the pair skills, the quality that this team has. I think that their artistry has improved as well, and
their connection.
They really made a lovely moment with those skates, and just thrilled for them. And I think that it's kind of fun to see the Olympic gold medalists Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara were not here at this event, so you had the silver and bronze medalists from the Olympics competing here, and they switched places. And so there's something kind of poetic about that, about having that little bit of a flip-flop between these teams. I mean, it means that Metelkina and Bralava have been held in silver for the last two events, back to back, but there's just something really, really nice seeing this for Minnie and Nikki. So I'm super excited for them. But this is also a really nice set of skates from the Georgians. They put together very consistent performances over this whole season. At the Olympics, we saw them have a little bit of problem on their thrown triples, which is really weird because that's usually the best thing that they do.
Yes.
But here, that was in good shape. They just had some mistakes in the free program. But man, more than anything, it was like their triple twists were unreal.
They always are.
Absolutely incredible. So I'm sure they would have liked to have walked away as the champions here, but they handled everything super gracefully. They were so supportive. They were so supportive at the Olympics of their fellow competitors and here. And I think that this team, they got a lot of years ahead of them, and we're going to see them on the podium a lot.
I don't think that they're in any danger of not being a world champion at some point in the very near future.
I mean, Anastasia has said that she will not retire until she has a gold medal at the Olympics. So,
and they are absolutely on that list of people that may in France in 4 years. Mm-hmm. But I think a new set of folks have added their names to that potentials list, and that's the bronze medalists from Canada, Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud. And I have to admit, this was my favorite of the Paris competition. I was definitely so excited for them. And just like they did at the Olympics, they had a phenomenal short program. That short program, I hope, is like the template for them going forward. Because their connection, the emotion that they bring to it, they evolved so rapidly just with that program and what they are putting out there on the ice. And it was just a joy to watch. Their free skate, I was holding my breath through. But they made it happen. And unlike the Olympic Games where they were third going into the free and then fell back, they held their spot, they held their nerve, and they actually were second in the free skate. So they have a small silver for the free skate and a bronze for the full competition, and really set themselves up beautifully going into the next 4 years.
I wonder if you asked Leah and Trent at the beginning of the season, can you imagine yourself being the Canadian national champions, third in the short at the Olympics, and then being on the podium at Worlds? Do you think that's in your trajectory?
Probably not.
I'm sure they'd be like, that sounds great, but that's not going to happen. When we saw them be so brilliant at the Olympics, it was this moment of being like, oh my gosh, it's
the promise of the premise coming true.
Yes, this is finally coming together. This is really looking good. And then, they came here, and I think that the Olympics, they just weren't ready to be in that podium position. I don't think they were expecting it. I think the pressure of it at the Olympics kind of took them out. But here, they had learned how to handle it, and they were fantastic. Of the Paris competition, these were my two favorite programs. I loved both of them back to back. It makes me really excited for the future of this team. I like we were talking about earlier with Nina Pizzaroni, it changes your reputation a little bit when you come home with the world medal.
Yes. But I have to admit, they have my favorite short program. My favorite free skate is from the fourth place finishers, Yuna Nagoka and Sumitada Moriguchi, affectionately known as Yunasumi. Their free skate was so good.
Oh my gosh,
I was so excited for Yunasumi. Mm. I am a fangirl of this team from Japan. They are the team that just missed out on making the free skate at the Olympics.
I mean, they were last place at the Olympics.
They didn't just miss out. They fell apart.
Yeah.
But they also didn't make the free skate at Worlds last year. However, if you've been watching them in other competitions throughout the season, you've seen the progression that this team has made. They are moving rapidly forward.
Yes.
And it was heartbreaking at the Olympics for them to have those problems in the short. But they came here, had a solid short program, were in fifth, and then were third in the free skate. which means they have a small medal. And I am so excited. If you can't tell by the sound of my voice, I am over the moon because I really feel like they are one of those additional teams that is going to be vying for medals in the next 4 years. And it's crazy to think of how quickly that has changed in terms of their trajectory. It is amazing. I just can't wait to see where they go.
With the likely retirement of Riku and Ryuichi. Potential. We don't know for certain. I've heard some talk that they are back in Canada with Bruno and maybe continuing to train. I don't know. So I don't know what will happen next. I would love to keep them around.
Yes.
I adore them. But I think that having Unisumi as like the next stage of Japanese pairs is really exciting. And they're so very different too, which is one of the things that's awesome about them.
Yes.
But yes, this is a very strong redemption for them after a very disappointing Olympics. And yeah, coming away with a small medal, a couple of really great performances, a really wonderful performance in the gala as well. I just think a lot of opportunities here that to get them in front of new audiences, build a fan base, get more notoriety, spend a lot of time too with their contingent. The Japanese contingent seem to be having a lot of fun here. There's an incredible video that all of the Japanese women here did, like essentially a TikTok type of video. I'll try to stick it if I remember to, into the edit. It's in one of their hotel rooms and it's hilarious. I loved it so much. But
a dance routine to Espa.
Yes. Espa's Whiplash. I won't be able to put the audio in, but like you could see the video. It's super cute, but it just looked like really great team rapport with all of them.
And also, for those who don't know, Sumitada Moriguchi can still do a triple axel. They don't put those in the program, obviously, but there's a great video of him and Ilya Malinin doing side-by-side triple axels, which is like mind-blowing to me.
And Sumi's is still good. It's still really good. Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I love this team. I'm so excited about them.
The surprise here is the 5th place finish of the Hungarian team, Maria Pavlova and Alexei Svievchenko, because these two have been very consistently the 4th place team over the past couple of years.
And they've been the most consistent team this season.
Yes, like they almost never make mistakes. They may not always be the most artistically complete. They may have places to continue to improve the skills and whatever, but they're always solid. And then I think the talk of everybody with them going into this was their real chance to get on the podium if they were just consistent like they always are, and that's what we expected. And this was the one time where we saw them kind of mess up.
It was so heartbreaking because they have just been so good, but just not able to make that big, bold move. Mm-hmm. And like, I think in my predictions, I had them silver here because I really thought that was on deck. And yeah, it was a bummer. And they handled it really, really well. And they're going to be around for a while. They made, similar to Nagoka and Moriguchi, they made immense strides this year. They might have the glow up of the season. Like it's wild how good they have become and how different they are from the previous iteration of themselves. It just didn't come together here. And
it just ran out of gas a little bit right at the end.
And I mean, that's the story of this entire Worlds. Mm-hmm. Other than really the men's competition, it is brutal to think like that, how early this season began and how it's the end of March. And they have to be ready to compete again in like, what, 3-4 months?
Yeah, and they've got to get new programs. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So everybody needs a break. But I feel really bad for the Hungarians because you could see the level of disappointment on their faces. Yeah. And they handled it extremely well. But yeah, that is really rough. Again, like a sort of beat by beat through a few of the other pairs teams. The U.S.'s Elisa Efimova and Misha Mishafranov ended up in 6th here. They had been in 7th after the short program, and the short was kind of rough, had some issues. They looked better in the free. I was kind of hoping that they would get a little bit closer to this podium here. They still did a nice job, and they're still the best performing team of the Americans here. I'm sure that they were looking for something a little stronger, but I think they finished in 6th last year at Worlds as well.
5th or 6th. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but
so
similar.
It's about the same spot, and you know they're 2-time U.S. national champions. They didn't get to go to the Olympics because of citizenship issues, but they did perform well here again, and notably without having Ellie and Danny at this event. Danny was out doing commentary, kind of social media stuff, which was an interesting move.
He was very present here, just not in the ice capacity.
Not skating. But I think they still did a terrific job, and I still have really high hopes that we'll see great stuff from this team.
Same.
A 7th place finish for the Germans, Annika Hake and Robert Kunkel, is really good.
It was great. And honestly, their free skate was so much fun to watch.
Yes.
They love thrilling a crowd, and they even threw a headbanger in at the end of their free skates. So they bring the party. I have said it before. I will say it again. I love Annika Hake, and I want to be her friend. So if anyone can facilitate that for me, hi, Annika. You're cool.
Yeah. She seems so fun.
I'll buy you coffee.
Yeah, I'd love to hit the cafe with her. And I just want to give a quick shout out again to the Polish team, Szczecina and Wozniak. Or it might be Wozniak. I forget offhand. I can never get those names right. I'm so sorry, our Polish listeners. Like, I'm trying so hard. But this team, again, is not as competitive as some of the others, but they land in 11th here. They had a really great Olympics. They had a really strong Worlds. They seemed so happy with what they accomplished at the end of the season.
They also seem like the ones that are going to be leaving us.
I do worry after how they left the world's ice if maybe the two of them are done. I don't know. I'm not putting words. I don't want to speculate too heavily.
No.
But they are definitely one of the teams that kind of felt like that could be a possibility. I think that based on their ability level, I don't see them rising a lot higher than where they're at. But I think that they've had 4 really good skates at big, high pressure, very visible competitions. They got to have an Olympic moment, and I think that's a huge accomplishment. So
I'd be sad to lose them because they just do bring a lot of brightness and warmth.
They're so charming and just seem like such incredibly sweet people. So whatever they do next, if they keep going, I would love that for them. But if this is where they finished up, man, it's a good way to go out.
It is. It's a nice way to end.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the men's competition, which, as we talked about in our men's preview, was a story of redemption. And it was redemption for most of these guys. Like, I feel like they met the moment and really brought what I was hoping we'd see overall.
There's a lot of great stuff here. I mean,
I'm not trying to undersell it. It's more that I'm tired and I'm really trying to find my words.
The conversation starts with Ilya Malinin.
Of course.
Because after his Olympic meltdown in the men's free skate, which was just like an utter disaster, the question has been, would he return to competitive ice full powered and, ready to retake a title here? And somebody in our comments said that, like, you can't get redemption for the Olympics at Worlds. And I understood what
to a degree, that's true.
Right? I mean, I feel like Nathan Chen spent 4 years working up to the point where he could get his Olympic redemption.
But the following World Championships right after the Olympics, that was a disaster for him.
Yeah.
That was his first step towards redemption. And I think that is extremely noteworthy and meant a lot on his trajectory towards that Olympic championship.
Sure.
That he won.
And I think for Ilya, I think a lot of it is just like stepping out there. He didn't have to prove anything to the rest of us. He had to go out there for himself and just perform for himself, rekindle that joy and excitement of performance and just make it work. He didn't do the wild and crazy things that I was kind of expecting him to do, because I sort of thought he would go nuts out there. Instead, he delivered well-tailored programs that did what he needed to do to have some really, really nice scores, lock in the spot, and to thrill a crowd. I'm not complaining about it at all. I thought it was really strong.
I thought it was phenomenal. And especially, honestly, his short, I thought was great. Like, that completely put to rest any of my concerns, because his short programs at the Olympics, he, did pretty well in them whenever he performed in the team and the individual event. But you could kind of feel him holding back a little bit in both of them. Like, there was an added, understandable, now that we're after the meltdown that happened there, the tension and the nervousness, I'm sure, that was there, wasn't present at all here. He came out and did his short program, was singing along to the music. He was as Ilya can be in that short program. And he's going to be just fine. He shook it off, whatever that was. And I still think, to kind of go back to what the commenter said about you can't replace or redeem yourself from the Olympics at a World Championships. In one sense, I totally get that, because I do think he's won world titles before. He knows this setting very, very well. So I do think there was that level of comfort of coming in here and being like, okay, I know how to win this. I still think he's going to have to do some work on what happened at the Olympics, just as a person.
Sure.
Like, because that's a lot. Regardless, he came here and I think he quieted any criticisms that were like lingering. Not that there were that many.
Yeah.
But he
there's
was
some haters out there that were going
There's always going to
to
be.
have this expectation that he was broken, and then we would see him continue.
He's not
to kind
broken.
Yeah. No. It's all good. My favorite thing about his performances was actually the last moment of his free skate where you see that thrill of like, I got through it and it was awesome. And then him like basically turn and be like, and it's done.
Yeah,
it's
just the
done.
like,
it's over.
Over.
And
no more season.
Him getting off the ice and going over to Yuma Kageyama, who was waiting in the current leader's chair, and him giving him the same thing. He's like, we did it. We're done.
Yeah, it was so good.
And the two of them sharing a big hug and kind of jumping
up and
around
down
together and just having that like, we got through it all. We finished it. Like this was a grueling year with the Olympics.
So stressful.
I think everybody was ready for this stuff to be done. But yeah, let's talk about Yuma, because if we want to talk about the actual like best performance of any singular skate in the men's competition, it's Yuma's free skate.
For sure. His free skate is exactly what I think every Yuma Kageyama fan has been waiting for all season, which was the perfect turndo.
Yes.
And he did it at the last possible moment. We've all been waiting for
at the right moment, yeah.
At the right moment, yes, because his short program did not go as well. It's like I had mentioned in the men's preview, he had the perfect short program at the Olympic team event. I don't know that it ever gets better. It was flawless.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. Here it was not. And it honestly, even though the points came down for the missed triple axel, which was the biggest waxel I have maybe ever seen.
That was like a crazy waxel.
And that was not, I mean, and there was, from what I heard in the commentary, like there was a divot in the ice. So
he probably just hit a rut. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just completely unavoidable. That said, that happens to everyone. So it wasn't like you get a gimme.
Right.
So he was pretty far back. He was in sixth after the short, which was a bummer. You would not know it in that free skate. He came out ready, calm, and just was perfect. And I admit, like, there was a moment right towards the end of the program where it was going so well. And I'm like, we were watching, like, we already knew the results, so I knew it was going to be great.
Yeah.
But I had this like moment of like, oh wait, we're going to see the Ina Bauer in a perfect moment. And then it like, he goes right into it. I'm like it just filled my heart. It was so good.
It was absolutely exceptional. And when we talked about this in the preview, one of the things that I said was that Yuma was likely to go home and work really hard on Tornado because his short program had been so exceptional at the Olympics. It was so solid, and I mean, the team skate one, I think, is going to go down as a legendary program.
Yes.
But oftentimes when skaters do that, when they have to like turn their attention to one program to try to fixing it, sometimes the other one doesn't go as well. And I do kind of wonder if that's what happened here, where he rested on that program to be as good as it had been previously, but he didn't come out looking as confident in the short.
No.
Normally he's got that really cheeky look, and he looks
that little like with the
it's this very sly, very like confident face, and he looked tighter, he looked tenser going into that short program. And I wonder to a degree if coming in sixth place into the free did allow him to shake it off a little bit and deliver that tornado from an underdog position, and really rise up. But regardless, we've all been waiting for the Yumado to finally happen, for like the real, actual full culmination of that program to finally take place, both for him and for Christopher Tin, the composer who did that arrangement for him, so they could have that as like the final vision of it. And we got it, and it was lovely. It was so good.
Perfect. And I've seen a few people conjecture online that they actually think that because Ilya had watered down his content a little bit, he still did 5 quads. That's the watered down Ilya, that maybe Yuma should have won the free skate. I do admit I'd probably lean in that camp.
Yeah, I think that Ilya probably got just a little overscored in his PCS versus like Yuma got like 5
perfect
tens
tens
from a 9-person panel,
Yes.
which is unreal. But
completely.
and Ilya's was just a little rougher. I think that Ilya winning is correct, but
I agree.
I kind of do think that Yuma probably should have won the free.
Right. I mean, Ilya won by almost 23 points. So he would have won whenever we're talking about a difference of 6 in that free skate. So, but to be fair, Ilya's technical content was through the roof, and he was still phenomenal. So this is not to take anything away from Ilya.
Yeah.
He was great.
No, it's just a recognition of how good Yuma was. Yeah.
Right. Also, excellent here was Shun Sato again getting his first world medal, which actually feels weird now saying, because it's that well, Shun must have already had a world medal, right? And no, he didn't. This is the first one, and it's a bronze, and he obviously wants more. But whenever he goes back and watches what Yuma did in that free skate, I think Shun will be like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah,
bronze.
Because
right.
he was backstage for that, so he didn't get
exactly.
he didn't get to see it. I'm sure. I mean, Shun did what Shun does, which is put out a couple of terrific programs. Now, he was in 4th after the short program. He did have a little bit of issue there. I mean, not a significant one, but he wasn't in that top 3 after the short.
He was excellent, but someone else was just more excellent.
Well, right, yeah, and we'll get to those. But his end total score here is a 288.54. So he's still back from what we know he's capable of when it comes to the total. But his Firebird was awesome. It really allowed him to showcase those beautiful jumps, that incredible efficient technique that he has. He doesn't sell to the crowd quite as well as Ilya or Yuma do, but he's just so lovely to watch. And him getting his first world medal here is, I think, that vote of confidence that he really needs to step up. And we knew he was coming in here trying to become the top Japanese man.
Yeah.
He and Yuma are really good friends, but that internal competition is part of what drives those guys.
And it should be. That's healthy. It's good. If there is something that I haven't really thought about this before until this moment, but I think that Shun is comfortable to watch because he is so consistent. What he's going to deliver every time. And I hope that he gets really uncomfortable over the summer as he's going towards the next quad for himself, because he wants to be the top Japanese man. And I think the only way to do that is to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To start pushing himself, not just in the technical side, which he's already said he's going to do. And I mean, he's worked with some fabulous choreographers to really try to push that artistic side. But I think that he's pushing the artistic side without letting himself be more vulnerable. If you really think about that, it's Ilya, whether you are his biggest fan or you're a hater, whatever you want to be, that's cool. That's your opinion. Ilya puts his whole self out there. His entire being is out there. Yuma does the same. His whole heart is out there, and you feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know Shun. Shun is wonderful, and I am a huge fan of his, and my goodness, did he absolutely deserve this bronze medal as he deserved the Olympic bronze.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He is more of a reserved person.
Yes.
And that shows up in his skating, and we need him to push past that. If he does want to become that top guy, if he does want the top of these podiums, that next thing he needs to do is to unlock that extra layer of personality and performance and engagement with an audience. And like you said, I think much like we were talking about earlier with Isabella Vito, her desire to push herself, recognition that she needs to push herself and evolve past where she's been for the last couple of years. I think that's the next stage of evolution for Shun as well. It's just trying to figure out how to become that next version of himself.
Yes. In 4th, and a bit of a surprise, but not if you watch the Olympics, Canada's Steven Gogolev. Man, Gogo is coming on strong, and he just locked 2 spots for Canada next year, which is so cool. I am very, very excited, and I hope that Roman Sadovsky was watching this and maybe thinks about that whenever he's trying to decide if maybe he should continue or not.
Yeah, there'll be 2 spots for Canada next year.
You could come.
Yes. I mean, Gogolev is one of the great surprises of the season, a guy who just completely upped his game. I mean, working with Benoit has obviously had a big impact on him.
Very big, yes.
A couple of seasons ago, I thought Gogo was done. I thought that with
I think a lot of people did.
The injury that he was suffering for a while there, like him like pulling out of like Canadian nationals at one point, and I just didn't know if he was going to stick around. And then this year, like from the very start of the season, he was so good. Both him and Roman were both good this whole season.
Yeah.
And they really started putting pressure on each other, which I thought was excellent. But I was not ready for Gogolev to come in and be fifth at the Olympics and be just so dependable. 4 great skates there in team and in the individuals. And then to come here and step up even one more spot up into that 4th place.
With better scores.
Mm-hmm.
He did great. A 281.04 for him here is phenomenal. And he deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
He was fantastic. So, and got to be in the gala. And I just feel like he has unlocked something, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of him.
This is a different Gogo, and Canada needs a guy like him in their field right now. And so that success for him, you know, we talk about the trajectories of skaters that change after performances at the Olympics or after Worlds. I think Steven is one of those skaters. So very, very exciting. Our next 2 guys that we're going to talk about were both in the top 3 to begin with. They fall back, but there's some interesting notes about that. In the 5th place, we get France's Adam Schauhimfa. Very notably from our last preview episode for the men, you were very hardcore on the make it happen, Adam.
And he almost did.
He almost did.
He was second, which is exactly what I had predicted for him, but that was not to be.
Yes.
He was second only in the short.
Yes.
But that short program, perfection.
Yes.
Perfection.
Yeah, he got a 101.85 in the short.
And I think he was underscored. He was so good.
I tend to kind of agree. Yeah. This whole season, it's been the question of could he put together 2 clean skates? And unfortunately, it just never happened. But the short here did showcase all of the things that he does so well. It was brilliantly performed, blew the crowd away, absolutely phenomenal stuff. And he comes away with a small medal, and I'm very, very happy about that.
Yes.
Because that initial 1, 2, 3 that we had after the short program was in and of itself very exciting and quite surprising. Didn't work out as well in the free. We saw that kind of frantic Adam where he gets a little more erratic. He looks like he's got the gas pedal all the way to the floor when he needs to be pulling back a little bit and focusing a bit more.
He goes too hard.
Yeah, he goes too hard, and it showed there. But there were still brilliant moments in that free skate.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think the choreo slide I saw people sharing online because it's so aesthetically pleasing to just watch that move as he just spins low across the, you know, while he's on the ice. It's beautiful. It's so, so cool. And you know, it's just a shame that it didn't work out as well. He did get to perform at the gala, and we got to see a different version of him there because normally he does these really heady artistic programs.
And this time he did Bad Bunny, which is great.
He did something way more fun and smiley, and we haven't really seen anything like that from him in a while, and that made me really happy to see. So we know he plans to stick around to the next Olympics, and I'm very excited about that.
Me too.
It's a shame that he couldn't keep it together to hold on to the podium here, but I think there's still a lot to be proud of and a lot to ride the momentum of.
And there is so much goodness in his future. I believe it. I am thrilled that he at least came away with a small medal here. That was really good. In 6th, and now having locked in 2 spots for Estonia, so his brother can come, Alexander Salevko. He was so good in the short program.
We told you in the preview to not skip his short program.
No.
Because his Prince short program is so good. He's the one guy bringing sexy to men's figure skating right now.
He is. He loves bringing sexy back to date myself and, you know, feel the way you feel about Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
But Salevko brings the sexy. He brings the smolder. He also brought the quads in that short. They were great. I love this guy. I love that he is showing up in a way that surprises people. And we've said since he won his European medal several years ago that he has it factor, like in abundance. It just never quite comes together. And here, while he does not perform quite as well in his free skate, I'm still so impressed with that free skate because he fell on his first quad lutz and then was nearly flawless the rest of that skate. So that shows even in a high pressure situation, he had a big mistake and it dropped him out of medal contention for sure.
But he shook it off and still delivered the rest of the time.
He was great.
And I think what's really impressive here, what's really cool about this 6th place finish is that one, I mean, he got a 96.49 in the short program. That's
10 points higher, I think, something like that, than his personal best.
Yes. Colossal score. He was out of his mind thrilled about it. He gets the small medal. He's in that company with Ilya and Adam after the short program, which I don't think he probably expected he would be in, but he really does deliver exactly what we've been looking for the whole time with that Prince program. But I don't think you've ever seen a happier guy to land in 6th after being higher, because he accomplished the mission. He got a top 10 finish. He opens up that 2nd spot for Estonia next year. Notably, his brother is also a competitive skater, and it's kind of been between the two of them of which one would get to go to Worlds. And so that performance here is the best men's Estonian performance, I think, ever at Worlds. Yeah. And it does open up that opportunity for his brother to come and, ideally for both of them to be able to get to be here at Worlds next year. There's just a lot to be proud of. And I think that, again, this is one of those, like, raise your stake a little bit when you see how well he did. I think that it should just bring a little bit more attention to what a terrific skater he is. I think between him and like Nina Petrakina, Estonian figure skating has just gotten a real boost over the last couple of years. And I just can't wait to see if he can capitalize on this and do even better, because Sasha's so good.
He's so good. Also someone who completely warmed my heart here, because I think he showed up with all of the Kevin joy, was Kevin Amos. And while his short program was definitely not perfect, it was kind of a mess, but he went for everything. It just was dicey. Mm-hmm. But his free skate, his last Bolero, because he is retiring Bolero, was near flawless. It was so, so good. And he was actually 5th in that free skate.
Yeah, he was terrific there. But for my money, the best performance from Kevin Amos at this entire thing was the gala.
It was extraordinary.
And as I understand it, it was also improv.
He said it was mostly improv because he didn't have a program really. So he came for the gala and came to Worlds, didn't really have anything prepared. So picked a song and for the most part just went out and felt it.
Yes.
And even the commentator, Mark Hanreddy, who was commentating on the gala, said that, like, it might be the best thing I've ever seen him do. It was so emotive and connected.
And so musical. For something that wasn't fully rehearsed and didn't have complete choreography, you'd never have known.
No.
Because he was so connected to the music. He was so on the beat, so on the emotional moments. It was the showing of an artist, of somebody who really knows their craft and can really feel something. And you take away that competitive element and just let Kevin perform, and it is unbelievable. So good.
He is the poster child for my petition of, can we go back to having a pro circuit for figure skating that we could have 10 more years of Kevin Amos competing, in quotes, in the pro circuit, because I want to see that artist as long as possible, because it was just moving to watch.
A couple of more, just hitting a few more people in here. Andrew Torgashev lands in 10th place here. Notably, we didn't have a Jason Brown, and Jason Brown never landed outside of I think 9th at Worlds. And, the real question for the U.S. men was going to be, will Torgashev hold up? Will he have a meltdown like he's had at Worlds the last couple of seasons? We had Jacob Sanchez coming in here as a last-minute replacement. You didn't know how well he would do.
He did great. He was 12th.
He was 12th, and he was
Good job.
Terrific. He doesn't have quads, so he wasn't going to be able to rack up a huge free skate score, but he still performed beautifully. These were, for a first time for Jacob, unbelievable.
Bravo.
But Torgashev was 7th in the short program, fell back a little bit after the free. It wasn't quite as good, but his footwork sequences are still just undeniably some of the best in the entire competition. He really showed up there. So I think a 10th place finish there, really strong, the men did what they needed to do here with Ilya in first.
They hold their 3 spots.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
Yeah. And also a shout out to Kirilo Marsik from Ukraine, who had a couple of really solid programs, a little bit more rough spots in the free, but still for a guy, considering his circumstances, to be doing as well as he has and putting out the programs and the size of his jumps. The first jump in his short program is like,
huge.
It's like a mile and a half tall. How is he getting so high into the air? I don't know. It's like, and so many of the guys have these explosive jumps, but Kirilo's are just, they're so freaking huge. It's so impressive. So I'm very excited to see what he's able to do over time and what kind of skater he evolves into, because he's very, very promising.
He's so promising, and his short program was just gorgeous. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's finish up this Worlds recap with the thing we have to talk about, the dance.
Yeah.
I say have to.
We have to. I mean, we want to talk about dance, but of course, like because there's a controversy in the podium, you're complicating the conversation. The thing that's crazy about dance to me, there are like 20 teams to talk about here. If we were giving one episode to it, like there's so many people that we could hit. It's just the deepest field of people who are all really legitimately great.
Yes. And I love ice dance. Like love it. And like you said, the field is so deep that you don't want to skip anyone, because if you skip the last place team from the short, you're missing out on a phenomenal skate.
Yeah.
You have to watch everyone.
Yeah, it's kind of wacky. Like when you think about how like the last qualifiers after the short program were Canada's Marie-Jade Laurent and Romain Lagac, and they were fantastic.
They were so good.
Brilliant in the free skate, you know? So, and they were like the very first team out the gate. It'd be very easy to skip that and you would have a lesser experience for having missed that performance. So yeah, I mean, the ice dance field is just so deep with talent, and so many of the teams are hard to discern between them, like really why they should rank out the way that they do. But let's start with the unsurprising gold medal finish for Laurence Fournier-Baudry and Guillaume Cizeron from France.
That's the least drama.
That's the least drama because it's what everybody expects. Now, they won by almost 20 points, and that...
It does feel a little inflated. And by a little, I mean it feels very inflated.
Yeah. Are they brilliant? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No
we
question.
all know they're phenomenal.
Right. If you're separating the art from the artist or whatever, and your own feelings about the team and background, just set all that aside. All that conversations happened repeatedly over the course of the season. Just what happened on the ice, a couple of brilliant skates. I thought that their rhythm dance was the best we've seen it.
Absolutely.
Because they finally looked like they were actually having fun doing it.
Yes. Especially Laurence. Like she looked like she was grinning ear to ear, just having fun. And
even Guillaume, he was smiling through a lot of it.
Yeah.
He didn't have serious Guillaume face.
No. And I mean, but everything was spot on.
Yeah.
Like they did not put a foot wrong.
Yeah.
Like everything was great in that short program, in that rhythm dance.
And the free dance was also brilliant. And I think, you know, when we look back at the Olympics, there were a lot of errors in their two programs, and they still won over teams that made no mistakes. And that led to a lot of the controversy and a lot of, again, because controversy after everything, there's always judging issues.
You can't have an ice dance competition without controversy.
Right. If they had skated at the Olympics the way they skated here, nobody'd be questioning it.
No, because they won.
That would have been definitive. No question.
Their victory here was undeniable and completely definitive, and there was no arguing it.
Yeah.
It was just, nope, they won.
I still think basically what it comes down at the end of it is that I can appreciate how great these programs are without them being my favorite programs. You know, looking at some of the other ones here that I liked a lot more than what I saw from them here. But it doesn't change the fact that they are the pinnacle of skills and flow and beautiful in their artistry. And it may not be my favorite thing out there, but I'm not questioning the win. No,
I was very open in the preview for Ice Dance that my heart was definitely with Gilles and Poirier, and I wanted them to win. And I think had they brought both of their programs from the Olympics here, they might have stood a better chance. I still don't think they probably would have taken it, but their Vincent program was so polished and so refined and so good at the Olympics that they likely would have scored higher with that. However, I love the fact that they came here and did what they wanted to do, because I think that they had to have known coming in that it was very unlikely for them to win over Laurence and Guillaume. So they had their same rhythm dance, which they did a brilliant job of here. They switched back to the fan favorite free dance from them, which is Wuthering Heights. You could see that they hadn't skated it in a while. It was emotive and free and almost like violent at times. Like there was so much like aggression in it that it was fun to watch for that reason, because it was just a story. Like it was them acting. It was one of those programs I was watching it and like kind of forgot that it was a competition anymore, because it was just them putting it all out there. Like if you want to talk about vulnerable, that was how I felt watching them. But refined is not something I would call it. It was definitely not the best version of that program that I've seen, but I was excited to see it.
With Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier from Canada, they're very expected that they would be the second place here.
Yes.
We did not know in our preview that they had switched their free skate.
No, that came out after.
Right. We found out like right after it. So it was not a thing that we knew that they'd make that switch. And to my way of thinking, the Vincent performance at the Olympics was perfect.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if they just felt we're not going to do that program any better than what we did there. And we had the moment we were looking for with it. So let's leave that one on the table. The whole season, people had been asking them to go back to Wuthering Heights. That fandom had been saying over and over again, well, Vincent's good, but this is the better program. We'd like you to go back. But they've talked a lot about how difficult that program is, how they never had room to breathe with it. So I was a little surprised that they were bringing it back here, but I thought, well, maybe there was actually greater point possibility if this was performed to that same level that they had done a couple of seasons ago. Now, what we actually saw on the ice, I think that it was extremely entertaining, and there was a freedom in it of a team that didn't look like they cared very much where they would end up. It just felt like they wanted to put on a great performance. But I do think it was raw in a way that is both emotionally affecting, but not
messy.
As clean and skating. I think there's a lot more rough edges in that than we're used to see, because they are a precise team.
Yeah.
I think a lot about last year's Whiter Shade of Pale free dance and how precise it was. It is just clockwork precision through their footwork and everything they do. So it is interesting to see them come out and do something that looks just that little bit more raw. And I think some considerations that figure into when we talk about what kind of happens next there. But to put a pin in that, my favorite thing that they did here.
I'm so glad that you're transitioning to this.
They did this Lord Royals program for the gala that is, I think, the best thing I have ever seen Piper and Paul do.
I am obsessed. I am so obsessed. It was so good. It was so good. From the costumes to the way it started. Oh, I hope they put that online somewhere that I can watch it over and over again. Obsessed. It is so good.
Utterly brilliant. I was just like, oh my gosh, why was this not a competitive piece? Like,
it's too good to be a competitive piece, honestly.
Honestly, yeah. Because it just allows them to do a lot of character work and a lot of quirky, fun stuff. And they are a very quirky team, and they always have been. But oh my God, I was thrilled with that. Like, I know that like over the course of the years of doing this show, I've said a lot that Piper and Paul stylistically are not always my favorite of the teams, but that right there was one of my favorite things I saw at this entire event. I was completely enamored with it.
We always give gold in our heart to skaters. If I'm just giving it to a program from this whole event, Yuma's Turandot might be it, but nope. I think it's this. It brought me so much like excitement because it was just different than anything I saw anyone else do.
Yeah, and it was very clear that they loved it.
Yeah,
and I
maybe
loved
Yuma's Turandot might be. I feel guilty now.
They're apples and oranges, but it was still absolutely terrific. Okay, now let's talk about the third place finish here. So in our predictions. Neither of us picked the podium correctly.
No.
But you had done like a wish podium.
Yes.
And you had put Amelia Zingas and Vadim Kolesnik from the United States in third on your podium. I didn't have them in mind, but I did do the graphics, the thumbnail for this episode, and I put Gilo, Piper and Paul, and Zingnick as the three people on that image, which ended up inadvertently predicting the podium. which is kind of wild.
Kind of.
Well, interestingly enough, going back through our comment section on YouTube after our preview episode, a number of you picked Amelia and Vadim for the podium. A lot of people were in agreement there. So it's not quite as surprising as maybe like we kind of felt like with it. But a lot of that comes down to how it happened. But
it's all context.
Yeah. And we'll get to that when we talk about the fourth place. But for Emmy and Vadim, their programs were flawless. They've been doing this all season where they're just, every time we see them, they're sharper, they're better, they're more exciting. They're so rehearsed, they're so practiced. We know they do run-throughs every single day. And
twice.
Yeah, complete run-throughs twice a day, every day. And you can feel that. You can feel how rock solid and well-oiled these programs are. And there was even more attack. Like, it was kind of unbelievable how they went even harder on these than I think we've seen them before.
I agree. If you've listened to this podcast before, I have been very unsubtle with my love of this team. I adore them. I am thrilled beyond belief that they are on this podium. Shocked, considering this is their first World Championships and they are on the podium. In ice dance, that is bonkers. Like, that does not happen. And I know that also technically Laurence and Guillaume, this is their first Worlds together, but I mean, they're a super group.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
a little different.
Right.
But yeah, for Emilia and Vadim, I could not be more excited for them because they are the story of hard work and dedication. But to be fair to a lot of these other teams, they all work really hard. Just they got between their match as a team, their trajectory with their coach Igor, the programs that they put together, some of like the work they've done with Benoit Richaud, there's just this alchemy that brought together with the intense planning and work ethic that they have to get them here. It's wild is the word I keep coming back to. I know, but
it's the fact that every time they finish, they come off the ice and they don't really look winded, you know?
Yeah, because they're so conditioned.
Yeah, it always looks like they could just go out there and skate a whole nother program because they just have it in them. They're just so ready. And the sharpness that they deliver, Vadim is so good. His lines, his extensions are so fantastic. And especially like after we were watching the gala, the thing I kept thinking about with Emmy is that she has the makings of that like ultra charisma that like as they evolve and mature and get better, she's already the show, but they're extremely well balanced. But I think that as you see her get more comfortable in the skin of what they're doing and like how she presents, she's only becoming more magnetic. And
you referenced that she has that quality that Madison Chalk has, which is like the biggest compliment you can give an ice dancer.
Right. Yes. And with the likely retirement of Chalk and Bates, this is what the American Fed needs. And I feel like them stepping into this role, it's a surprise. I mean, in the sense of we wouldn't have seen that necessarily even a year ago, but after the course of this season, it's not a surprise because they've been showing up event after event, proving that they should be near the top. And they did that again here.
Yes. And I adore them for it.
Now, let's
complicate it.
Let's get into the sticky part of all of this. In fourth place, we have Great Britain's Lila Fear and Lewis Gibson, often referred to as the Disco Brits.
I wonder if they still like that.
I have no idea, but they are a fan favorite team. They are so much fun. They are the greatest showman team of everybody.
And to give credit where it's due, they are also known to be some of the hardest workers in ice dance. They have worked extremely hard on evolving their reputation, their skating skills especially, becoming better and better skaters all the time. And also they're notoriously risk takers in terms of the material. Like they're very bold. Yes. And I've always appreciated that about them.
Right. And the last couple of years, they've really made a big jump up. They've taken podiums at the World Championships, on the Grand Prix. They've beaten more veteran teams that typically would not be thought of as like ice dance is this weird hierarchy, and a lot of times there's a sense of people being held in place. And then when there are upsets, it feels very upsetting for teams that feel like they have earned spots, and then they get beat by a team that maybe is thought of as not as great. And I think the thing always with Fear and Gibson is that they are wildly entertaining, but they don't have the skating skills that some of the other teams do. There are places where the more you pay attention to what they're doing, they're just not at that same technical level as some of the others. But their performance level is through the roof. This whole season, they've been chasing a essentially perfect performance of their free dance to this like Scottish medley.
Yeah.
It's always been entertaining, but it's always been slightly out of whack, slightly unbalanced. And we saw at Europeans and at the Olympics them have twizzle issues and problems that held them back. And so they just underperformed in both those places. And the question was, would they show up at these world championships and finally deliver on those programs and get on that podium?
And on the first part, they did. They finally put together 2 phenomenal skates back to back. And I appreciated most that they looked aggressive. They did not look tentative. I did not feel like they were playing it safe, because that can happen after like repeated issues. Unfortunately, we saw that with like Hannah Lim and Ye Kwan. Even like it was better here, and they made the free skate, and their free dance was beautiful. But you could still feel that tension, particularly in the twizzles with Ye. I'm really hoping over the summer that gets worked on a lot.
Yeah.
But you didn't feel that here from Fear and Gibson. And I, as I'm sure many, many people did, when they finished, expected them to immediately go into the bronze medal position. And I'm sure that is how Emmy and Vadim felt as they were sitting in that leader's chair. They looked like they were just waiting to get up and move.
Yeah.
Like they were even kind of joking around while Lila and Lewis were waiting for their scores and just being silly together. And I'm like, yeah, those are 2 people that are like, okay, just let the scores come so we can stand up and go get some snacks. Or something.
Yeah. I had that feeling like, I feel like it's time for a bathroom break for these 2. Like they're ready to go. And I think that Emmy and Vadim were 5th at the Olympics, which is already incredible. 4th here makes a lot of sense when Chalk and Bates aren't there. And if you were just like sliding
on up,
like they would have been very happy with that placement. But as the scoring is happening, we're hearing Tanya and Mark, the commentators for the ISU, start noting, oh, there's been a change. There's something that is under review. There's something that's come back with a violation. There's something that's coming in with this -2. The judges took a long time to score them. It really, really took a long time. There was this sense of Fear and Gibson got into the kiss and cry, ready to win a medal. And then they and their team saw their score come up and they were taken off the podium. And
by the tiniest margin. But that 2 points was the margin.
Right.
For sure.
Because the Americans get bronze with a 209.2 and Fear and Gibson get a 208.98. So it's this incredibly small sliver of points. If you math up with those 2 points back and then probably some GOE from it, there's a good chance they would have slotted ahead of Piper and Paul.
Yeah, because they only had a 211.52.
Right. So here's where it all kind of breaks down. Fear and Gibson get a violation on their very first rotational lift because the rules stipulate that the man in the lift cannot straighten out his arms over his head.
Yeah.
It's always a rule. I mean, we know about it. We've seen people get violations for it before.
Yes.
And notably, a lot of other violations got handed out during this competition.
They did.
There were time violations. Karen Ponomarenko got hit with a costume violation because they had a pedal fall off of her outfit, land on the ice. That's an immediate 1 point deduction. Hate it. It's so dumb. But this is something that like it's kind of like the differentiation. It's like you can't do like a pairs element in ice dance.
Yeah.
This is where they differentiate the sports. I don't love it. It's not a rule that I like very much, but it is this thing. You can't fully extend your arm. Any of the lifts, there always has to be a bend in the elbow. And what was identified by the judging team was that Lewis had fully extended his arms for at least a certain amount, certain duration during that opening lift, which meant that it was ruled an illegal element gets a 2-point deduction, and then gets notched down as a level 1 rather than the level 4 that they had originally been given. Now, as I understand it, there are people in the audience that said it was visible, that they could see him lock in and hoist up like that. He maintains that the lift does not allow him to do that. We rewatched it a couple of times, clicking through it, trying to see. And I think it's visible to me that one arm is kind of straight up and locks the elbow. I don't know that I saw his other arm do that. And I don't know if it has to be both or if only one. I'm not sure about that.
And also, to be fair, the way the costume is designed, it's really hard to see if he actually locks or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like one arm is fully extended and that the other one is not.
But he's got kind of a jacket, so it's not like it's like form fitting. So like
so you can't totally see it.
Right. If you saw, like, say, Gilo do this, it would be very obvious if they had done it or not. But because of that outfit, it does bring some of that into question.
Yeah, and the real sticking point here is that we are now at the World Championships, and this is the program they have done all season long. And never have they gotten this violation before. This lift has been in the program every single time. And it didn't really look that different than any other time they've done it.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but go on.
Okay, but let's say this. If it looked different, it wasn't consistent. And that's the word of the season in ice dance.
Yeah.
It's the inconsistency of the judging. If this was a problem before, they never got told. So by the time they get to the last competition of the season, they do the same move and they're deducted 2 points, and those happen to be the 2 points that lose them a medal. I can understand and honestly agree with this feels really wrong.
Oh, I'd be furious. I'd be so mad about this.
And it just makes me...
And it feels fixed, right? Like you can't help but have a feeling of, they invented
a reason so that Piper and Paul would still get silver and an American team would get bronze.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to not say that part because that's how whether you believe in conspiracies or not around ice dance, it's hard because of all of the consistent judging issues to just feel like anything is real.
Well, okay. So let's
back it up. I was getting feely.
Getting conspiracy brained is easy to do in ice dance.
Oh yeah, it is.
And we're going to go there. So get ready for it. No, I mean, the feelings that go around stuff like this is that, on one level, seeing a top-rated team get knocked off the podium by a deduction that is almost invisible to the average viewer, although some people said that it actually was very visible. And to your point earlier, you said you didn't think it looked any different than early in the season. I do think it does. I'm going to see how to do this in the camera. I think that, and for the people who are listening to this in audio, I'm sorry, but like, imagine my fingers in like kind of a W. Like, I think that's like in like the outer bars of a W. I think that's how that lift normally looks. And that's how through the course of the season, except for like there'd be a bend in his finger, like, in the elbows. I think that's the way that lift is looked. Like, it's been out. At this one, I think because of the way they got into it, I think his right arm is straight up in the air and the other arm is more out in that W 45-degree angle or whatever. So while it's very, very small, and I think real time, as not an ice dance judge, I don't know that I would have identified it in reviewing it, because we did in real, we went back and zipped through it and watched it several times. I think it is visibly different, but I think it's so small, but it is one of those rules kinds of things, and if you're going to deduct CPOM on a pedal falling off her outfit, and if you're going to deduct, I remember if it was Becker and Hernandez or somebody, like, for a time violation, and somebody else gets a random violation as well. And we've been seeing a lot of this all the way back to the Olympic qualifiers. We've been seeing weird violations and stuff the whole season where, like, people are getting held to stuff that we maybe just didn't see called very often before. We do want that consistency, right? Even at the top teams, we get frustrated when we see teams at that top level just not get called on stuff. I don't know how to feel about it in that degree, because on one level, I totally understand that it feels like foul play. At the same time, Fear and Gibson are an IM team. And so many of the complaints over the years has been the dominant nature of IM having so many teams and how often they seem to get preferential judging and how often it seems like their teams get pushed to the top of podiums. And, looking at the last couple of seasons where Piper and Paul and Grignard and Fabry and some other notable teams have not done as well as Fear and Gibson have, and there's been times where that's felt a little bit questionable when they've gotten above them. And Ice Dance purists will be like, they're clearly not as good a technical team, and yet they're still just kind of being pushed ahead. And that sense of like, oh, did it feel like, oh, did they push an American team in here? Was there some sort of play behind that? And, I think it was a Canadian and American tech callers for it. I mean, that
it makes it
goes in there as well. But Piper and Paul and Emmy and Vadim are not IM teams. So there's this other thing where like everybody complains that IM gets all this preferential treatment, and then two teams that are not IM make it onto the podium, and then you get another controversy on top of it. It all just highlights how sticky and icky and unfortunate Ice Dance is from a judging and scoring standpoint. So many of the other teams in the top 10 are also brilliant, and it's hard to justify why they end up where they do. I would argue that of any of these teams, Smart and Deke deserved third just as much or more so than these other teams.
I would argue that Smart and Deke deserved silver because they got second in the free skate and they deserved it. That free skate to Dune 2 was the best they've done this season. It was phenomenal. It destroyed the crowd. If you want to talk about performance value, they have it in spades.
Yeah.
I didn't see a foot placed wrong. It was they got personal bests in both parts of the competition. They moved up. Like the fact that they're fifth this year is so fantastic. But going all the way back to what you were saying about Piper and Paul and their Wuthering Heights, I adore them. And they absolutely are the team that on paper should have the silver medal here for sure.
I mean, going in, they were the team I wanted to win.
Me too. Absolutely. Me too. I wanted them to win. However, if you look at their Wuthering Heights performance on the day and you compare it to what Emmy and Vadim did in their free on the day, and then you compare it to Olivia and Tim, where would you rank them? And Lila and Lewis for that matter. The problem is, like you said, is like it is so subjective. They're all phenomenal teams. The difference is so minimal. But when you're looking at their performances on the day, I actually think Piper and Paul's was probably the weakest of all four of those teams. So where would they rank?
Just watching them as a person who watches a lot of Ice Dance, but can't always pick out like why somebody didn't do as well in the midlines or whatever. My feeling was I would not have put Fear and Gibson on the podium. I thought they were great. But even as good as those programs were, I just thought there were a lot of other better programs. With Piper and Paul, I don't think that the Wuthering Heights, as great as it was to watch, I don't think it was the equal a lot of these other programs. I thought that Smart and Deke and Zingis and Kolesnik back-to-back rhythm and free were better than those other programs.
And I also want to throw the sixth place team of Yevgenia Lopareva and Jeffrey Brousseau in there because both their rhythm dance and their free dance were exceptional.
Yeah.
So strong. To be honest, when I saw their free skate, they were 7th in the free dance. I didn't love that. Like, I felt like that was off base.
They seemed pretty happy with their score overall.
Yeah.
But, there's always this sense of that team being repressed or just not appreciated because they are stylistically different. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. They were my pick for the podium. I was hoping for a third place spot for them here, but it does feel a bit unfortunate. But again, this is just that thing where like all these teams are so brilliant. And so you have to nitpick them down to the nth degree. And I think that's a part of the problem for Ice Dance is that the viewer at home just really doesn't have a lot of ways to tell why one team does better than the other than their just subjective enjoyment, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's where one of those places where Fair and Gibson tend to like move ahead because
For sure.
because they're just so enjoyable and they create programs that have lots of movements. You know, I think that you look at Gilo, their free skate is beautiful and it's artistic, but it's very one note. It stays right in the pocket. It just does one kind of thing for all of it. And it's masterfully performed and the lifts are incredible, but it's not nearly as dynamic as some of these other programs as far as presenting more movement in music and feeling and in those stories. And you talking about Smart and Deke's Dune, where you get a full movie on the ice again, just like they did at last year's Worlds, and they did it even better here, which is an unreal thing for them to have accomplished, to have one-upped last year's program.
Yeah. Ultimately, what this comes back to is, I know it is a dissimilar thing to what we saw at the Olympics with Maddie and Evan coming in second to Gilo. That was more around mistakes. But it feels similar in the sense of whenever you see something that it feels like it was already decided that Fear and Gibson were not going to be on this podium somehow. And it does feel a little manufactured in that moment. And I feel awful for them. And I agree. If I'm looking at it and I didn't have any context for what I was watching, frankly, if I didn't have any context for the historical reference in ice dance, this podium would have looked radically different. But I also I agree. I don't know that I would have had Fear and Gibson on the podium, but having all of the context that I have and knowing how good they are and knowing kind of the unbelievable amounts of like what feels like corruption in ice dance, whether it is or not, I'm not on the inside. I don't know. But we've all watched enough of this and heard enough of this and read enough of this. If you're really in, just go into Figure Skating Reddit. You're going to be sorry that you did, but or
Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever.
My gosh.
Just dig in. Yeah.
Just dig in. But there's been enough legitimate stuff that is not just conspiracy, galaxy brain stuff that is a problem to feel like, I mean, the skaters themselves have all talked about it. And the fact that in this case, and we've not talked about this yet, that the British Federation has put in a formal complaint and like request for review of this competition because of what happened. And personally, I think it's great that they did because somebody's got to raise their hand and say, hi, even if this doesn't impact placements, because it very, very likely will not.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a real appeals process.
No.
At least not
the way it's been set up.
There is in real time if something's been called incorrectly, but you have a very short period of time to flag it. And we've seen it before in some other stuff in the last season or so where like team gets called for like for the wrong element or something and then doesn't get corrected in real time, so it doesn't matter, but getting something overturned feels very likely without a whole scandal. But
and that's very, very unlikely to happen.
But what we have seen over the course of this season is we've seen Lolo and Guy and Piper and Paul complain about the inconsistency of the scoring even when they've been on the podiums. We've seen the US Fed want to raise a stink about how Chalk and Bates got scored
but then back away.
Yeah, they backed off of it, but they did at least raise the flag of like, we might contest this. And I think everybody decided not to do it. But I think it was still worth kind of saying we should be reviewing these things. And I think Great Britain, while they're not the biggest Fed involved here, I think they're notable enough that them pushing at this and saying, hey, we have got to talk about what's happening here because this sport just feels like it is rigged a good portion of the time. And there's probably a lot of people who are going to say, yeah, but it felt a lot of times like Fear and Gibson got handed podiums or higher placements than they maybe earned. And I can't say that I argue against those. I love them as a team. I'm not trying to shoot them down. I've been thrilled that they've had a great couple of seasons. But when we talk about consistency, it's easy to not, as a team, I think, to not complain about the problems in the scoring until they affect you. And I think that's what's
so often
because I mean that's Chalk and Bates as well, right? Like Chalk and Bates have had times where they have not skated fantastically and been gifted better scores than maybe they deserved. They very notably fell in a world championships and still won worlds, a couple of seasons ago. And there are just times where, and a lot of the fan base has been like, are you earning the scores that you're getting? And I'm a big fan of them, so I didn't feel as uncomfortable in some of those places, and I was uncomfortable when I saw what happened at the Olympics. And so I think that it's easy to ignore these things until they happen to you or until they happen to your fave teams. And I'm just hoping that this is the kick in the seat of the pants that the Fed needs to recognize that ice dance. I said it before in a previous episode. I was like, ice dance needs an enema. Like, they need to clear this thing out and get in there and look around and figure out like what's happening here, because there's just too many systemic issues that keep this sport from feeling like a sport.
Yes. But I do want to wrap this up by also, like, at least this portion of it, because I know we still probably want to mention and give some props to a few other teams. Yeah. All of this said, I also still am thrilled for Emilia and Vadim.
Yes,
and I just want to leave it there on the positive note, because they have risen so beautifully and so incredibly this season that I don't want to take anything away from their accomplishments. So I adore this team. I think they are such promising, skaters for the future. I'm so excited for them. So everything else aside, I love them.
Yeah. And we're pushing 2 hours here in this.
Yeah, we should
episode.
Probably just tick off a few other things, because there's some other good, really, really good performances here.
Yeah, Alison Reed and Saulius Ambrolivicius from Lithuania put together a couple of really great programs here. They started their free skate backwards without knowing it, because there was a lot of people seemed confused because of the way that the arena was set up with all of its crazy LEDs and stuff. Like, there were numerous times where people would go on the ice and seem like they weren't sure where they were at.
Because everything looked the same, is what Allison said.
Yeah, and I think it had a really busy floor as well. I think that just the amount of designs and stuff. And so they had to like course correct themselves halfway through their program to turn back around. I don't think you would have known it.
No.
But
they're so good. They just handled it with flair.
Yeah. And they did the consistency that they've been doing this entire season. Really great stuff. Had that kind of feeling leaving the ice. Like it could be the finish line for them.
Which made me very sad.
I would really dislike that, because I love this team, but we don't know. We mentioned CPOM getting that weird deduction. They still seem really happy with their scores. They put together great performances here as well. I was really happy with them. I
thought their perfume was gorgeous here. That deduction for the petal that fell off her dress. I'm just going to be mad about that for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I think we get a slightly disappointing, at least set of scores out of Lajoie and Laga from Canada.
They were definitely disappointed.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I was very open in the preview that I can't stand their rhythm dance.
I think a lot of people, including the commentators, kind of implied politely the same.
Yeah.
Although I will say they performed that rhythm dance better than I've seen them perform
definitely
any other time.
Yeah.
They were very strong. I just think that they're such a better team than that material.
Yes. And there's just a sense of them having been doing kind of the same stuff in their routines for the last couple of seasons. Like, it feels like sort of the same set of lifts, the same set of moves, just kind of like rearranged a little bit. And this is a team that I don't know if it would really benefit them to move maybe to a different coaching staff. And I know they got held back by her injuries and her concussions, and that had stopped things.
I think that's more the case.
They're just such a talented team. I think they deserve better than what they're doing here. And yeah, this just wasn't super great for them. A team I thought did better than they got scored was actually the Georgians, Davis and Smolkin, particularly after their free dance. Like, that free dance was so strong. It was really beautiful. And it was so much better than what they did at the Olympics.
Far better.
Like, this was much more in line what they've done earlier in the season. And it really was quite beautiful. I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, I was thrilled to see an 11th place finish for the Czech team, Maracikova and Racik. Their free dance was phenomenal.
Awesome.
It was
so good.
The best they have done that. And they had to pull it out. There was a lot of pressure on them because the other Czech team of Taslarova and Tasler had a solid enough rhythm dance, but Natalie got sick. I think it was food poisoning.
Yeah.
And so their free dance was not as strong.
They almost pulled out because she hadn't been able to eat at all that day, and she felt terrible. And you could see that in the performance. I mean, Natalia's always very pale, but she was real pale.
She was very pale, and I just was worried about her.
Yeah, but that meant that Katerina and Daniel really had to show up if they were going to lock spots. And
they did it. They managed to move up, and they were 12th in both the rhythm and the free, but overall it landed them in 11th. And it was just the best I've seen them. I was really, really impressed. And this team, I think, is better than they get a lot of credit for sometimes. It feels like their placement never quite matches their talent. So this free dance, I really hope sets them up well going into next season, because it reminds everyone, they're former world junior champions. They're very young, but they have so much talent. I really think they're going to continue to move forward and up in the rankings.
For sure. Okay, so I think that wraps up all of the different disciplines.
Oh, I'm tired.
We could spend another 2 hours talking about all the other people that we didn't have time for here.
I know, there's so many good performances.
But overall, I think Prague put on such an amazing event.
They really did.
It looked incredible. It sounded like the vibe in the arena was fantastic. The crowd support for everybody, especially when people struggled, that the way the crowd would lift them back up was really wonderful. There's so many memorable highlights from this that I think we're going to hold on to for a long time.
Which is a wonderful setup into a very, very important and special gold in our hearts for the World Championships. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I would like you to go first. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would like you. I've been thinking about it as we've been talking, but I would like you to go first. Yeah.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, I kind of just want to give it to Piper and Paul for that incredible performance that they did of Royals in the exhibition, because the gala performance just has me. I'm in a place over that.
I mean, it was so good.
It was so good. But for really real, I think that gold in my heart, I think in a weird way, I have to give it to Adam Shoham-Fa, because I made such a big deal about how you got to do it, make it so. And at least in the short program, he did. However, even though that free skate did not go the way he wanted, and he was openly disappointed that, he was right there, had that silver medal and let it go. At the same time, I think and I hope I'm right, but I really felt like just seeing him talking about it afterwards and seeing him in the gala, I feel like it gave him that spark of, I am coming back harder and stronger, and I know I have to address these things, and that it is absolutely more mental than physical. He can do all of these things. So I want to, can I give out 2 gold in my heart?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I know I'm just going to continue extending this. But he's the one I'm giving it to out of I think that he learned something here that he needed to learn.
Sure.
And I think it's great. My other gold in my heart is to Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud for shocking everyone with that bronze medal and just setting themselves up so brilliantly to go into this next quad as the top Canadian team. I love Deanna Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, and I desperately hope that they're continuing, because man, would it be cool to have 2 fantastic Canadian teams just rivaling each other. It would be so cool. So, and I was just thrilled for them.
Yeah.
So that is gold in my heart. I'm stopping.
Okay. Well, you've given me leeway to have 2, so that's great. I appreciate that. So first off, my primary I am going to give to Smart and Deke. I felt like they would have easily deserved the podium here, particularly if they were scored the way I feel like they should be in their rhythm dance, because I really, really like that rhythm dance. But the Dune program is definitive to
mind-blowing.
Me. It is just my takeaway from that entire ice dance competition is that's the moment. That is incredible. And I love it so much. And I love the growth that they've had from a team that a lot of people did not believe in early on to now a team that is undeniable. Fantastic stuff. My second, or my bonus, or whatever you want to call it, gold in my heart, I'm going to give to Nina Pinzeroni.
Yay!
Locking in a surprise 3rd place, much like you said about Leah and Trent, coming in here without any expectation, thinking that she wouldn't even keep the 5th. I feel like she just had a really healthy mindset going into it, and then rising to the occasion, putting on a fantastic set of programs, coming away with a medal. We always say it matters what happens on the day.
Yes.
And what she did on the day won that medal. And I'm so thrilled for her because if you go back over the last couple of seasons, we have been fans of her all along. And to see her rise back up right here at the very end has been terrific.
So cool.
And there's so many other people that you give a bonus to. I mean, Yunasumi, I would love to give, something to.
Yuma Kageyama didn't win the gold medal. You could give it to him for that incredible turn out. But I think we should probably instead let everyone off the hook and wrap this up.
Right. And of course, infinite gold in our hearts to Kaori Sakamoto.
Forever and always.
For all the reasons that you already know.
Forever gold.
Forever gold, Kaori Sakamoto. In the comments, let us know, how did you feel about this event? Did the people you were looking forward to taking podiums, did they get them? Are you excited about the way it shook out? How do you feel about the ice dance controversy? Which side do you fall on that? Because I feel like it's a very complicated mess and you could feel a lot of different ways. And I feel like
it's hard to know even how to feel about it
There's logical,
anymore.
There's conspiratorial, there's emotional, there's so many different ways that it can hit you, and I just feel like it's a mess. And I want that mess cleaned up because Ice Dance has been a mess this whole season. But we'd love to know all of your takes on all that. Again, we always appreciate all of your commentary. We're going to be back with you in a week to talk about the ISU awards, which also happened at the end. It's already happened, but we'll cover that, and to give out our own choreography awards.
We got some work to do.
Season. Yeah, to sit down and think about the superlatives we would hand out if we were in charge. Overall, though, I really loved Worlds, but I'm also kind of excited it's done. I'm ready to transition into some downtime.
As every other skater and coach obviously was at this event, off-season is sounding really good right now.
Yeah. But don't think for a minute that we're done, because there's
Not at all.
so much still left that we're going to do over the course of the off-season, including some kind of different stuff that we have planned. So if you're not subscribed, definitely click that button.
Oh my. Yes.
Yeah, because we'd love to have you stick with us. But we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for sticking with us over the course of this incredible season.
Yes.
And for Choreography, I'm Adrian Buskey.
And I'm Wendy Buskey.
We will talk to you very soon.
Bye.